Yeah. Okay. So measurements and units. What are the three things that we need? Okay. For measurement and units, it's actually 4. So the first one is what we call unit conversion. And this is where all the prefixes and stuff come in. Okay, we are actually going to be converting around a bunch of all these things. So let's start off with what we have, which is called the base quantities. Okay, what's the meaning of a base quantity? What is so special about this? This is basically quantities that cannot be broken down further. Okay, what do we mean by this? Okay, just now in the previous chapter, we have seen that for power, power is given the unit of watts, but watts is given a unit of joules and seconds. So the unit watts can actually be broken down further. Can see? So this is not a base quantity because the unit can be broken down further. When we talk about a base quantity, it cannot be simplified into any like simpler unit. Example of it is a second. You cannot use anything else to represent a second because literally a second is just a second. There's nothing else multiplied together to give you a second in that sense, right? So there's a few of these base quantities that we have in, I guess, physics. Okay, so this first one is length, right? Nothing can be broken down to give you length. Length is basically in meters. Second one we have is mass. Mass is in kilograms. Third is the one that we mentioned, time. Time is in seconds. Fourth is temperature. Okay, so now maybe you can try recall your units. What's the unit for temperature?
Kelvin.
Kelvin, right? Good. Next is your current. The current is the electricity stuff you have been doing so far, amperes. Last one is the amount. Amount is not really a physics thing, it's more of a chemistry thing. This is a number of moles, basically. Yeah. So moles cannot be broken down as well. Okay, so the first 5 are the ones that are more important because from a physics standpoint, you'll see them in multiple chapters. The last one, I mean, since you're learning science, science is science. Everything is together. So you should know that this is also base quantity. Okay, then next we have is what do we call these things? Well, we call these units the default units, right? We call these the SI units. Okay, so just take it as a standard lah. Okay, take it as a standard, which is pretty useful because if things are without standards, then you don't know how big or how small they are lah. For example, yeah. So if I tell you like 300 Fahrenheit, is it hot? I don't know. Is it very hot? I also don't know. So we need to base it off a standard, a particular standard. Correct. So that's that. Okay, notice in all of your quantities, all of the basic units, okay, the SI units, all of them are just themselves, except for kg. kg is the only one with a prefix. Okay, the rest of them, they are all just the individual units. Okay, good. So that is our first thing here. Okay, so what happens if you start to manipulate the base quantities around? What do you call these then? Well, they're no longer called base quantities. So what do we call it? We call it derived quantities. Okay, English-wise, it's very simple. The derived quantities are derived from the base units. So that's why we call it derived quantities. Okay, derived from. Give you a very, very, very simple example. Area is a derived quantity. Area is length times length. Area is meter square. Meter square, this unit, is derived from length. That's what we can say. Okay, now a more complicated example. Power is energy over time. Okay, and power equals to what would be the simplest version? Half mv squared then over time. Okay, m is mass, right? Mass is in kg. Okay, I only care about the unit, so I'll ignore the half. M is in kg. V is meter per second squared. Time is in seconds. So this is kg meter square second minus 3. Because here is minus 2 and here is another minus 1. So here is minus 3. You see? So this is power in its SI units. Okay. So therefore, we have other simpler units. We can say that this is equals to watts. We can also say that this is equals to joules per second. But this is the base quantities of it. That means you cannot break this unit down into any further quantities. That's why we call it a derived quantity. Okay? So we can go very simple or you can go more complicated. Yeah.